Alright, so I did actually, how can I say this? I made this video, completely forgot to record. I still have the text, so I'm not gonna retype that shit. But I will just read it for you guys and everything like that, and I'll explain it. So let's get started, shall we? So in a group of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Keep in mind 0 is just a psychological number, still a number theory number, but still. Um, let's give it a try. We will group them into pairs of 3. So being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Within this group, every second number of each group will be your neutral or foundational number, meaning those are the numbers you're going to be using, which would be 2, 5, and 8. These numbers will be your number theory. These are the numbers we're going to be looking for entries with. So this would translate in Forex as 2 equals 200 or 20, depending on the pair. Usually gold and all that showed that as well. 5 equals 500 or 50. And 8 equaling 880. For a restructure of number theory, you will simply add a 50 or a 5. If number theory, or if the numbers are too far from the fib level or their entry point, use a psychological number, meaning 100, 300, 400, 600, 700, 900. Those are the levels you're going to be using. This is the whole text. So if you want to read that, go for it. I'll reread it one more time. So in a group of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, we will group them into pairs of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9. Within this group, every second number of each group will be your neutral or foundational number, meaning those are the numbers we're going to use for our entries. So this in Forex, it would translate to 2, 200, 5, 500, 8, 800. Obviously, depending on some pairs, it might be 20, 50, and 80. Keep that in mind. For restructure of number theory, you will simply add a 50 or a 5. Actually, it might just be 50 in general. If the number is too far from number theory, you will use your psychological numbers or rounded off numbers. That's what they call them in Forex terms, which would be 100, 300, 400, 600, 700, and 900. That is the rules of number theory. This is literally number theory. This is how I get my precise entries. An example that I had on GA. Let me just show you in the 4-hour. Boom. Look at that. Actually, I did not use number theory. I actually entered this one at 25. Well, I did use number theory 800. I was supposed to use restructure number theory, but the only reason why I didn't do that was because I had a confluence a little bit more to my left, which was right there. So I went all the way. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. My bad. Which was right here. Let me just fix that really quick. There you go. Perfect. That was the reason why, because I said it's gonna tap that and roll over. Obviously, I was more, how can I say this? Safer. I was on the safer side, so I just said screw it. I'll put 25 instead of 50. If you still would have entered with 50, restructure of number theory of 8, we would have still been in, and we would have like what, one more pip of profit or something like that. That would have been our new entry right about there. Look at that. Look at that wick. Let's see how much that would generally be. 3 pips, 3.6 pips drawdown, 11 pips stop loss. I had a really tight stop loss. Take profit 260. Yeah, that's literally it. That is how you use number theory. Now I'm gonna show you an example of what happens when, for example, one number is a little like a pair doesn't work with number theory, which was up here, in this entry right here. So yeah, we do have the 78.6 or 786.786 at 4. So this, let's just say for example, this was just a little bit more down to that 300 region. We put our right there. This means number theory. We would use our neutral number within the group. this would have been 200. That wouldn't work. That is underneath 78.6. We want to have one above our fib level. The reason why is because it is gonna go up a bit and retest a 4 hour or wick through the 78.6. We don't want to have a bigger stop loss. Our stop loss will be right there. If we were to enter this level at a number 3 level, this is alone is already about 117 pips. Obviously, we want to have a preciser one. Obviously, we wouldn't have that big of a stop loss in general, but still, we would find it a stop loss around this area. I'll show you why. So in that case, you could go up a next group, which would be 5. Which now, if you could see, we're above the 78.6. Keep in mind, this is just number theory. This is not restructure. We would to use restructure number theory. It does work more often than expected. It does work way better. We would have had, if we're entering on a 4 hour, this would have been about 78 pips. You see the difference? From 100 and something to 78, 80 pips. Big difference. So yeah, that is perfectly fine with me. If you guys go up a pair, obviously if you're above the fib level that we're expecting to hit, obviously this one would have realistically have been, let me zoom out really quick. Realistically, this would have been at, I think I used this one right here. The down level, oh crap. Down level, a little bit more above right there. So now we actually zoom in and everything like that. I'll show you the proper entry on this. Number theory right there, 82,600. This is another example what to do if you're not near number theory. You go to 5. Okay, that's something tricky. Obviously, you don't want to enter like that. You go to the number within the group, or the next group, 8. We would not enter. Like I said, number was at what, 643? That would have been a perfect entry, but we want to be safe about it. This would have been a psychological number with restructure in it, which was adding 50. But we're going to be safer about it. We've just been, what, 600. Still a really great entry. This would have been your safer bet. It is close to 78.6. Obviously, it would have been more trickier if we were to zoom more to our left. Let's see if we have any 4 hour zones that we could potentially help with our entries. We do not. It's just pure wick action. So in that case, we rather be safe than sorry. We're not going to be entering right there. We would have not tapped. This wouldn't have not tapped. So we'll just go and we'll get whatever's closest to this entry, which would have been 600. Not 50, but 600. Yes, you could just do it at that number, at the fib level, if you guys feel comfortable. You could do it right there. But if you want to be safe about it, just go to a psychological number that's literally right next to it, which only would have had a drawdown of potentially being 2 pips, barely 3 pips. So yeah, nothing crazy. That's how you would use that in number theory or psychological numbers for entries. Now let's go to AJ, which is another entry like that using a psychological number. AJ. Obviously, I found this trade way too late. I'm just going to go to the 1 hour. I'm going to bar replay this to right there. Actually, I'll put it closer, around here. So, obviously, I had my confluences already. I wasn't able to find them soon enough. I found this trade already past this entry that we originally would have taken. So I went from wick bottom to wick high. Keep in mind, sometimes you could use the bodies. I personally would have just used the wicks at this point. Our level right here, 78.6. I will never take a trade that is not 78.6. Reason being, simply because I want the highest risk to reward. It could bounce off the 61.8, the 70. Only time I'll take a 70 trade is if there's a lot of consolidation around that 32 or 38.2. And I mean a lot of consolidation, meaning price is only going to go down to 61.8 or 70. Obviously, there wasn't that much. It broke through like nothing, continued going down. So my entry would have been at 78.6. If I would have never tapped and entered that trade, cool with me. I'm not entering a trade. I'm not losing any money. I'm not risking any money. So number theory right here. If we were to use 200, look at that. We do have support, but realistically speaking, we have more support towards that. If I were to use my 4-hour support regions, we have a support right on the 78.6. Take that all the way across. Another support region would have been right about here. Take this all the way across. And another one that we could potentially see would be we go around that 78.6 fib. Right here, most recent. So you would want to look more for an entry in between those lines. Obviously, like I said, sometimes number 3 will not work, so you just round it off. And let me just shade that in. Keep in mind, this is now an area of supports. This is exactly a zone where money is supported. Style, let me just quickly do this. Oops. 2 0. Cool. So now we have that. I'm gonna delete these arrows. That's more just for you guys could spot it out. Obviously, we have the 78.6. Let me just go back to this number theory. Even if we use restructure number theory, this would not have worked. Look how far we are. I have my area where I want to be at. I want to be within that range. Obviously, it could potentially could wick like this one, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I usually have my stop loss underneath 88 anyways. We go to the next number, 500. 70. We're not gonna enter from that. So if 78.6 is at 327, what is the psychological number there? 300. That's simple. It's still within our support region. It's right above our 4-hour support zone, which was right about there. That is really valid for me. That is valid. I will look at that validly. I am not going to care. I feel more confident. Obviously, we had the 4-hour support around this area, and then we do have one like right there. So that's cool with me. Now let's just delete these arrows. Boom, boom, and delete that one. So our entry would have been right there. Cool. Long. Stop loss would have been just look at that, right underneath it, or right on it if you want. 15 pip stop loss. Take profit would have been right about here. Obviously, we do have a new take profit, still around that good range. This is a 1 to 17 ratio. We could have a smaller stop loss. I wouldn't want to risk it personally, so we are going to keep it right at the 88 level. Now let's just let it play out. Look at that. That would have been our entry point. Tapped our entry, our buy limit. Look at that. How much drawdown do you need? Not even a pip. Not even a fucking pip and drawdown. Now let's let it play out for now. Don't be afraid. If it hits your stop loss, you have a small stop loss. Right now, how many pips we would have been in profit? From 300, oops, that's 96. Around 75, 74 pips in profit as of now. We would have been one. I want to say like around what maybe. We'll just say about 4 to 5 levels in this. So we would have been about like maybe 2 out of 5 done with this trade. Stop loss, break even at this point. Why would we risk it? Once we see a retest and we see more consolidation and we see that it's not breaking this level of structure and we have hours already passed, move your stop loss. Why risk it? Now is a risk-free trade. You had the best entry and you're 70 pips in profit. Usually when you're around 60 pips in profit, you want to move your stop loss to break even. Why would you even risk it? So yeah, that's literally how you use number theory to find your entries or a psychological number. So this is it. If you guys want to read that on your own, I'm going to send this to the group chat. Other than that, that should literally be it. This should explain number theory, how to find entries on your psychological numbers if number theory is not available. If you are underneath that 78.6 and you use number theory and it's too high or too below, go with what's closest or even use the actual 78.6 region. Other than that, that should be it for number theory. I'm going to start making that breakdown video on those 5 pairs, these to be exact. And other than that, I will see you guys right now.